What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody is well. Welcome in to another live drum kit lesson. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. So for people just dropping in who don't know who I am, my name's Geoff. I've been doing these live lessons, free live lessons all across our lockdown here in the UK. So it's been going for what seems like forever now, months and months. The last couple of weeks I've not been doing them. I'll maybe explain why in a moment, but the basics are I'll do a lesson now for about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. We'll have a little bit of a warm-up to let people drop in. We're going to talk a little bit about underlying paradiddles today. If you've got any questions throughout the lesson, type in. It comes up on my screen, which you'll find, which is why you'll keep catching me kind of glancing over there. And I'll do my best to answer questions. And at the end of the lesson, the last 5 or 10 minutes, we'll actually do a bit of a question and answer. The length will vary depending on how many people we've got with questions. I'll do my best to answer anything I can. And if I don't know the answer, then I'll either say no or I'll try and push you in the direction of where you may find the answers. So today we're going to be looking at paradiddles. We're going to be looking today at some stuff which is going to go more towards the advanced guys or intermediate guys than beginners. But what I'm going to try and do is go slow enough that for guys who are starting out, that they've got a chance to kind of keep up. So we're going to look at paradiddles. We're not only looking at paradiddles, right? This isn't a lesson on how to go right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right. So I don't want you to think that. But I am going to start off by making sure that you've got 2 bits of key knowledge. So in the lesson today, you're going to see notes are going to appear above the screen. Some of you, I'm sure, are watching on mobile phones. So if it's too small, type in and let me know, and I'll do my best to make that a little bit bigger. If you get something from the lesson today and you start to find that it's something you're into, then please share it. Please invite other people along to come and check it out. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot out of this. Right, these lessons are going to work best if you've got a drum kit in front of you. If you're on an electric kit or something like that, perfect. If you're on a practice pad, perfect. And if you just sat and you just happen to be scrolling through Facebook and this has appeared, then maybe sit, hang out. You'll remember some of these ideas when you do get on your kit. So paradiddles, inverted paradiddles. Well, most people, even beginners, are going to know what a paradiddle is, right? So right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. We're going to be using those today, but we're going to be doing underlying paradiddles. Now, while people just quickly drop in now, before I get to the more advanced stuff, make sure that you've got paradiddles. As you can see, letter A, just paradiddle, 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 and also with accents, like letter C is written. Now, obviously, with paradiddles, there's 4 places we can put the accent, right? We can put it on 1, I can put it on the 2nd note, 3rd note, or the 4th note. Today, we're only going to do it on the 1st note. And that's the most popular place. Well, inverted paradiddles, as you can see with B, again, I'm going to assume you guys know this, but for anybody who doesn't, very quickly, we've got right, left, left, right, followed by left, right, right, left. I'm going to push through this quite quick. If you've never done those before, maybe hang out, check those out. You don't have to understand those for what we're going to be doing in the lesson anyway. But what you can see, letter D, I've just written on there. One of the most popular accent patterns and the one that certainly I like to play most. We're not going to be doing crazy fast today, but you can. So what are underlying paradiddles? Well, underlying, for me, the way I kind of teach this is when one of the hands is playing l'ostinato, just a continuous pattern, and then the right foot and the left hand are playing rudiments or patterns, continuous patterns. So if we take paradiddles, for instance, and I get you doing this. Then you might say I'm doing paradiddles between my bass drum and my snare drum. And essentially that's what we're going to be talking about doing today, right? Again, advanced guys, that isn't what I'm going to be teaching in this lesson, right? I'm just going through this so that everyone understands. We're going a little bit deeper than that today, but bear with me. So what the basics are, first of all, if you have a look at letter E that's on the screen, look, you need to make sure that you can play paradiddles between your right foot and your left hand. If this is completely new to you, maybe hit your leg at the same time, and every time you go paradiddle, paradiddle, hit a bass drum. As I mentioned before, there's accents like loud and quiet. So if we play this pattern, paradiddle, 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 well, the big one that I want to bring out is that left-handed one that you can see on letter E. I've got an accent there, the rest are taps, so watch this. So again, if you need to, right hand on your leg. If not, smash through it. So on their own, it's a rudiment put with a feet. To make it sound like something we could use in a band or in a groove or anything else, we need to have something constant going along with it. So we're going to put a right-handed ostinato in, just simply playing eighth notes. And as you can see, letter F there, I'm going to go in a bit closer so you can see it. Again, real simple, right? If you've been playing for a while, right? If you're new to this, obviously nothing's simple when you first do it. But for you more advanced guys, this will still be, I'd like to think, a reasonably simple pattern, right? So if I play it, I've simply got this going. Obviously a little faster. As I keep saying here, right, advanced guys, hang with me. I'm going to go a lot deeper at any moment. For anybody who's watching this at the moment is like, oh my God, he's lost me already, right? If you're a beginner, that pattern there will be enough to keep you happy for hours if you've never done it before. This thing here I've just called chunks. These are the 4 chunks that make up that pattern. So if nothing else, sit through the rest of this video and try and see if you can play that. You can see that the first chunklet is right hand with the bass drum, followed by left hand. Then we've got right hand with the bass drum, followed by a bass drum. So that's the first paradiddle. And just memorize that. So first chunk, second chunk. And eventually you'll start to feel that's paradiddle. Alright? First chunk, second chunk. So what's the third chunk? Well, you can see I've got both hands together, followed by a bass drum. So I memorised that. That's why we call it a chunk. Right, then the last part is together and then left. So that's the final chunk. So you've only got to learn these 4 chunks. First chunk, second one, third one, fourth one. Anyone could do that, right, if you sit and do it, right? So if you're new to this stuff, hang with us, sit and practice that. The notes from these lessons will be put on the website freestylrudiments.com after the lesson, right? So you can go on there and find the notes. For guys who are checking this out for the first time, I've been doing live lessons all over the lockdown period in the UK, so a good few months now, a couple of times a week, so there's quite a lot of old lessons. If you're digging this or you think you'd like to see more of these, go look on my Facebook group. I've still got all the old lessons on there, or on my YouTube site, which is Freestyle, sorry, not Freestyle Runs, it is Geoff Fry Drummer. So go and check that out. Anyway, right, where are we going with this? Right, well, I teach this to a lot of drummers, and I've seen a lot of drummers play this beat. And play it correct, and I include myself in this, playing it correct, but just not sounding at all groovy or interesting or in the pocket or any word you use to describe when you just sit and hear a drummer and be like, damn, this guy makes me want to shake my head. Well, how do we improve that? Well, obviously you can practice for 10 years doing 10,000 hours and that will get you a lot better, right? But how do we have actionable things that we can do right away? Well, the first thing is we can do it with a metronome. Everyone's heard that, right? Again, that's not the thing I'm going to do big on today, but I like to use a metronome, which gives me the ability to play it a bit like a computer would play it. Now, does a computer make you want to nod your head and have groove? To an extent, not in the same way, say, Ash Stone does, all right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about how we first sound maybe perfect, like a computer would play it, and then how we kind of make it be a little bit more like Ash Stone would play it. And I don't know, I know there's a million drummers out there, right? You think of your favourite drummer and put his name there, right? So, as I said before, anyone's got any questions, type in, because I've seen a few questions appear on my screen, and I'll quickly glance over there and have a look what's going on. Hi Geoff, thanks for sharing, not a problem. And Jason's just said there's something in Mark, I can't say his name, Mark Giuliano, in his book about chunking. So so for the chunking, well, I get this screen up. For the chunking, it's actually a term in neuroscience it's got to be neuroscience. So the way that we learn, basically, the way humans learn is we learn things in small chunks, and then those chunks become a bigger chunk and a bigger chunk and a bigger chunk, and that's kind of how we learn everything. If you think about it, when you learn a song, first you learn a bar, then you know 8 bars, and then you know the first and the chorus, and then you know the whole song. Chunking, right? Right, so lost my way. Where am I going this? Right, so yeah, so we want to make this sound like a groove. So the process I want to try and get you going through is 2 steps. Right, step 1 is do it with a metronome. And the metronome I'm going to put on is going to be quite an annoying little thing, actually, but it's going to give me the precise coordinates, let's call it, that I need to hit if I want to play it like a computer, right? So we're not talking groove yet, like a computer. So let me switch this on so you can hear it. Right, that's pretty loud, isn't it? Let's knock that down a bit. So, constant 16th notes. Well, I'm going to try and line up with those 16th notes exactly on top of them when I'm playing those patterns. No, not that pattern there, not the Paradiddles. And that might be a little bit quick, actually. I might slow it down. So that's 87 beats at the moment for the underlying Paradiddles. Now, the one that we were practicing, the letter F there, at that pace, I'm going to slow it down, but that pace will be this. Let's hear it a little bit slower. Let me know if that's blowing your ears off, all right? I want it to be quite loud, but I don't want it to be like deafening people. So here the same thing, but slower. So I've got target notes that I'm hitting. So I've got, as somebody who, like most of us, wants to know we're doing things right. No one wants to be playing somewhere and having the rest of the room laugh at you going like, he thinks he's doing it right and he's not. So that's as close as I can get to actually have someone sat in front of me saying right, wrong, if I'm hitting all of those dots, all right? So most metronomes can give you that pattern, right? But what about what I spoke about before? How about being that guy that everyone is listening to going, damn, this is a groove? Because when I play with that, if I play it perfect, some people might argue it's not actually as groovy as if you just get that slight movement in there, that human side to it, right? So how do I do that? Well, the steps I want you to try and take, and this is certainly what I've started practicing with things recently particularly, is starting to figure out, well, what do people hear? Well, when I'm playing this pattern, right, drummers might hear, they might hear the whole thing, right? Is the general public, is your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your mum, are they hearing that? No, they're probably hearing, to an extent, this. And of those two, obviously the backbeat's important, but the one that we're moving around, the most important that it's perfect and consistent, because consistency is what tends to make people want to dance and nod their head, is the kick drum. So when I'm playing this full pattern, and you probably too, I'm thinking da 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 da, all of the notes. I'm going to try and change your perspective on that for when we're practicing. So what I'm going to get you to do now is try letter H, so you can really focus in just on what that foot's doing. So if I play letter H, look. Now, it doesn't mean I can't use the metronome, because I'm still going to use the metronome, and I want you to still use the metronome to get that. So if you're sat on a kit, join in with me playing this. So it's quite slow at the moment, but we've got some target notes there. I'm going to go a little bit faster. 1. And I'm trying to iron out all those inconsistencies. Sometimes my second bass drum's a little bit early and a little bit late, and I'm trying to make that perfect. But what I'm trying to mostly do is change my picture of that beat to be more about dum 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 gum dum 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 gum, because that's what the band are playing to. That's what people are dancing to, not the whole duka chaka, the whole thing. All right. What's missing though is the left hand. So what I would then try and do is I'd try and stick in the full beat that the listener hears. So I'm going to put that snare in there. So you might join in and try and do this. I got that wrong. Down again. Now the two beats that I'm going to rush, and I'll let you listen now and you can judge whether I'm doing it right or wrong. Like the two that are going to be out of time is that one there and that one there. And what I'm talking about out of time is when this is beeping, if I'm not exactly with that beep, so much that beep's starting to disappear, I'm out of time. Let's see if we can do that. If you're joining in with me, try and get rid of those horrible nasty beats by playing exactly on top of them, right? So it's a bit fast, but I'm going to show you at this pace, right? So letter I. So I'm getting a little bit better as I do it. Hopefully you're getting the same thing. So the final stage then is to go back to the full groove. Now this is where there's an issue, because instantly my brain's going to go straight back to its comfort zone and hear all the notes, as in like now. I don't want that to happen. So the little trick, which is not like, you know, an internet breaking world trick that no one's ever heard of before, but my method is that I put a practice pad on the kit. I let my left hands play all of those parts, but my hearing, my brain, everything else still hears the groove that I want the rest of the world to be nodding their head to and thinking that I'm some kind of awesome pocket drummer, right? So if I play it again with this. So one of the conclusions I think I have drawn from this is the reality is when I'm playing all these ghost notes on the snare drums, you as drummers might notice if they're a little bit on or a little bit off. People dancing and with the rest of the band playing, they're not noticing them at all, but they are subconsciously, even if they don't know about it, noticing the difference between this bass drum being spot on every time and slight fluctuations. It's weird that non-musicians can actually feel the difference between a drummer that's spot on every time and everything's consistent and everything that's not when they've never played an instrument in their life. There's something about the human psyche, let's say, that we can tell timing. Well, you know, some people better than others maybe, but generally we can. Okay, right, Mark just said hi. Anybody who's got any questions while I'm speaking, type in, because it comes up on my screen over there, which is why I keep kind of looking over. Right, let's keep going. So the final stage, right, once I've done that a little while, if you haven't got a practice pad, the other cheat is to do it on your leg. So what I might do is I might start to and again, I'm often checking back to the metronome as my safety blanket to check if I'm right. So I'll do that again. 2, 3. Right, but we all know in a band, well, actually, I was about to say we don't have a metronome, but let's be honest, for most of us drummers now, a lot of gigs we do actually have a metronome, don't we? You know, it's because of backing tracks and such, right? But we like to be able to think that as drummers, if the metronome goes off, we can stay perfectly in time. Well, I'm not endorsed by this metronome, right? I don't know who makes this. I don't know who would make the money out of this, right? But we get as many metronomes out there, right? This one here called Pro Metronome, I've got this little ability to be able to say, if I switch on, what is it called on here? It's called Rhythm Trainer. I can tell it, beat for 3 bars and switch off for a bar. So if I press play now, you'll hear that it's going to give me 3 bars of time. Sorry, let's get rid of that. 3, 4. Second bar, 2, 3, 4. Third bar, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got to have perfect time and come back in. Now, am I going to have perfect time? No, and no one will have. But the more we practice it, the better we'll get at getting it every time. Right? I'll have a go at doing it. Show you how good or bad I am. But again, I'm trying to focus in on the kick drum and the snare, not the that good judge. I don't want to be looking at that. I want to hear that pattern there. So I feel the groove. And back out, right? I'm going to try to play the whole thing. So for me, that's the most actionable thing we can do to start to sound like whoever you think is the most groovy drummer in the world. Right? It's good to say, it's fine to say, oh, they've got genetics, they started when they were 3 years old. I don't give a damn about any of that stuff. For me, I'm interested in how can I get as close to possible as they can in whatever time I've got left playing this instrument. And so for me, these are the methods that I use to get as close as I can. How far away or how close you get to them is going to be down to the amount of hours. And then for those who believe in genetic stuff like that, then, you know, God-given talents and stuff like that, then maybe you'll never catch them up. But I'm going to give it a good go trying to catch up. And I'd like to think that you guys are the same, all right? So the process then, to recap what's going on here, right? What we're doing is we're taking patterns that you could probably already play. For instance, like the one that we just did there, letter F. And what we're doing is we're trying to dissect what is the thing that the audience are hearing, not what am I as a drummer hearing. And I'm thinking, for most of all, is the kick. So then what I'm doing is I'm taking my hands out and I'm figuring out just the kick pattern with my ostinato. Then I'm playing it on a practice pad. And then finally, I'm trying to play it in time. When I'm playing it in time, I'm concentrating on just that pattern. And finally, I find a metronome that cuts out for a bar or 2 bars or 20 bars and see if I can keep perfect time. Now, for you guys who are thinking, I might give this a go, well, what else can you do with it? Let's have a look. Well, the other things that I would do it with is that I spoke about at the start, the inverted paradiddles. So inverted paradiddles, letter L that you can see on there, look. The full pattern would be that. So no one's getting left behind here, right? Inverted paradiddles go right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. I'm essentially doing that between my right foot and my snare. And I'm playing the hands over that. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to go away and I'm going to figure out, well, what can I do with the bass drum? So, letter J. That's the bass drum pattern I need to master. 1 and a 2 and 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 1 and a 2 and. Everyone with me a moment? I stick my metronome on to keep me like a computer in time while I've got the thing on. Was I then, alright? So slow. Still slow. Getting better, right? So I found a flaw, right? That's what I need to fix. Next stage, what do? Well, next then, I put the snare in. So now I've got that backbeat, I've got a bit more to go off of. Again, this is what the humans are hearing, right? This is what they're dancing to, or nodding their heads to, or thinking you're badass to, right? I'm going to try again with the Met. I'm just going to turn off that little tempo rhythm trainer. So anybody who's wondering now what's the metronome, it's just called Pro Metronome. I think I paid £2 for it, or like $3, and it's on Android as well as your iPhones and all that kind of stuff. People who are just dropping in, my name's Geoff. I've been doing these live lessons all the way through lockdown. We're right at the end of lockdown, fingers crossed, in the UK now, so these are starting to come out in jibs and jabs now. If anyone's out there is enjoying these lessons, my old lessons are all on my YouTube site. The live lessons and you know, standard Skype lessons that I create on there, Geoff Fry drummer. And for people who are looking for Skype lessons, I've had a few people ask me over this period. I have got spaces for Skype lessons, right? I've got quite a lot of spaces for Skype lessons, in all honesty, right? We're in a pretty nasty place at the moment as far as like this virus is concerned, for musicians particularly. I'm not doing any gigs. I've got not a single gig in my diary, so anyone wants to give me some gigs, feel free. So it means I've got a lot of time for lessons. So I'm doing a lot of Skype lessons at the moment. The experience you get in Skype lessons is the same as this. I've got plenty of different views for you, from the side, from above, to be able to check out what's going on, get the same experience. So all you've got to have at your end is a camera of some sort. Right, so let's keep going. All right, so what we got next? Letter K. Like this. Let's do it with the Met. If you want a kit, join in with me. So we're going to be back, da, 3. Final step, I have my hands in on the practice pad, and then I play it all together. I think Mark's just said what's the name of that metronome. So it's literally just called Pro, P-R-O, Metronome. And that's it, Pro Metronome. I think it's the first one that comes up when you go into the Play Store, or probably the same on Android, Pro Metronome. For anybody interested, this is going to hum a bit when I unplug this, but it looks something like that. That's the main. Come here. That's the main screen that you'll see. Nice one. It's a real nice one. There's things that I'd love to get together with this company and just do a few tweaks, because it's got some awesome stuff on it. It's got the ability to have programmed songs in here for your gig, so you can tap it. It can either have a beep or just a flashing noise. It's got a polyrhythm area in it. It's awesome. It's just missing a few things. I have no idea it makes it. If someone knows, hook me up with them, and I'd like to make a few changes which will make it even better. Right, let's try playing that. Left hands as well. So letter L, I'm doing the whole thing, right? Inverted paradiddles, left hands. I'm trying to force my brain to hear just the bass drums, and then we'll put the whole thing in. So every time you see me shake my head, it's because I can feel that one of those beeps is slightly off. And I haven't played drums for about 2-3 weeks properly, not trained myself. So it's quite frustrating, right? Let's try the thing. Anyone thinks they're a bit of a badass at keeping time, try sticking on the rhythm trainer and having 2 bars of playing and 2 bars off. This will test you. Let's try it, see how good or bad I am. I shouldn't really not do this live on the internet, should I? This could be a train wreck. Let's try it. 2, 3. I might let it go around once so I've got a chance. 2, so that'll be the 2nd bar, and this will be the 3rd bar, and this will be the 4th bar. I can see the light, so. I've got to be happy with that. That's beginner's luck, I think, right? But get that metronome. That's really going to check your timing. So to kind of conclude then, to bring this through to an end, and we haven't finished the lesson, right? So don't go leaving yet. But start getting questions. If you've got any questions now, there's a bit of a delay between when I speak and actually when you type and it hits me, right? So if you've got any questions at the moment, type them in. We're going to have a little chat at the end. Well, you could do it with any rudiment, is what I was about to say. So reverse paradiddles, if you're good at those, use that. If you like doing stuff like bounce triplets, so I quite like doing 3s. Let's get this on the screen so you can see. So letter M, right? I'm not going to break this one down. I'm just going to show you this, right? Letter M. We've got Swiss triplets to go like this. Right, right, left. Right, right, left. But if I do that between my kick and my snare, if I put it in 16, so I might have a pause at the end. Ostinato. Can I do it with just... So this whole thing is just all about changing the perspective when you play a beat. Now the reason I bring this up is I've taught loads and loads of people, this particularly happens with things like Latin stuff, where they go away and they learn to play songo. And they come back and they've done all the work, man, and this is a part of the learning process, but they sound like I'm short of Latin, guys. I sound like that, all right? But the way that I try and not sound like that is I go through this process. So if I was doing that one, I'd start to figure out what it'd be. So it's basically a biome with the right foot. So I've got. So if I'm playing it correct, people are going to be dancing to that. All this crazy stuff I'm doing on the snare drum, that's what you drummer guys are going to go like, man, that's cool, or that guy sucks. They don't care about that, right? They're dancing to that. And so what I want to do is just make sure that when you learn stuff off of any teacher, me or your private teachers, that you go through this process of trying to figure out what's the most important fundamental part to making this musically correct and figure out a way of doing it. Maybe what I've done for you today will open your eyes to that and that'll work for you. Maybe you got to go find another way, but start thinking, see if you can come up with your own ideas. I'm sure you'll find a way. Okay, any questions at the moment? Please type in now. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Obviously, over this lockdown period, I've been doing lessons on I was doing Tuesday evening, Thursday evening, and Saturday. So that then went down to just Tuesday evening. I think the schedule was here, wasn't it? Now, what I'm having to start to do now, right? Some of you may have seen that I'm also doing on the side of this. I've got a lot of experience in the marching drum world, and so I'm now doing some marching stuff on a Wednesday and a Saturday. And in all honesty, with that, with my lessons, and we're trying to scrape a business back together. I just haven't got time to do these lessons all the time. I'm not charging you anything. Now, what I would like to do is I'd want to try and find a way of making this possible in the future, because I love doing these lessons. I'm getting a lot of good feedback that you guys like it. Maybe let me know if you like it. But I've got to make it financially viable. So when I'm doing these lessons, I'm not doing other lessons. And when I'm spending the daytime creating all these sheets and work like that, I'm not getting ready for my lessons and so forth. So if you're something you guys would be interested in me putting on some of these paid, so maybe I do a couple of hours on a Saturday, or I do a specific subject or a day, or even a longer term thing. I have looked into the idea of doing it as a pay-as-you-go site. It is possible. I've actually spent a lot of time looking at that, but it's got quite high overheads. So I'd have to have a pretty big amount of people that are willing to sign up for me to be even break even doing it. I'd love to do that though, because I really do enjoy the process of this, sharing stuff with you, but we shall see. If it's stuff you're interested in, please type in, leave it in the comments. If you don't want to type in the comments, send me a little Facebook message. I try and read all my Facebook messages. Same with lessons. If you guys want to have private lessons with me, I've got spaces for Skype lessons at the moment. I can cover most subjects. I'm particularly good with breaking down songs and beats in songs and rudiments. I've taught everything. I've taught double kick, and if you want a double kick master to teach you, I'm not that person, right? But if you're a beginner and you're like, I want to learn a bit about double kick, you know, I've got those skills as well. But I'm not selling myself as a double kick guy at all. But what I'm saying to you is, if you want lessons, get in touch. So, any questions at the moment? Nothing. Come on, silence. Somebody asked me some questions. Where are we watching from today, anyway? I'm sure we've got people around the world. For those guys who are just typing in at the moment, loads of questions for me to answer. I've got a YouTube channel, Geoff Fry Drummer. Over on there, I've got reviews, I've got lessons. I've also got, on the right-hand side there, an Instagram channel that's got quite a big following, actually. I've got 8,000-9,000 people on that one. That one is closely related to... I've got a couple of books out. And there's one up here. So if you're into rudiments, or you don't know anything about rudiments, maybe think about taking a look at the Freestyle Rudiments book. So you can get it on Amazon, paper copy. The price varies depending on Amazon things, but it tends to be around about $9.99 up to $12.99. Or if you want a PDF copy that you can open on your phone, there's more than one book as well. I've got other books out. Then go to Freestyle Rudiments website. Now, talking about Freestyle Rudiments website, that's where the notation from this lesson is going to be. So if you want this notation, I'll put it on there. If you go onto freestylrudiments.com, go onto the website. Inside the website, there's a little drop down that says Sheets. Go in there, and the lesson content will be in there. If you've enjoyed this and you got some out of it, please invite other people in. Please hit like. Please tell me in the comments, because it's quite a weird experience. I'll be honest with you. These 4 months talking to a camera and not having anyone in front of you. But that's why I like it when you start typing questions, which I'm just seeing trickling down the screen now. Is that a caterpillar under my nose? No, it's not. Have I got a bit of a goatee growing, am I? No, it's not, man. It's not as bad as it was. I'm just glad to have had a haircut. On lockdown, man, it was getting crazy. It was actually getting to the point where I was thinking, at the start of the lockdown, it's funny because my sister-in-law said, "Oh, I reckon at the end of lockdown you'll have one of those man buns." And there's a picture somewhere of what's his name, Lallana for Liverpool, and he's got a bigger beard than me. He's better looking than me, richer than me, better at football than me, all those things, right? But he looked a bit like me in this picture, and she used to send me, and I think he might have had a bun in that. And I was like laughing it off, don't be ridiculous. It got to the point a few weeks ago where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this hair. I can't have a bum. Thank God we're allowed to get haircuts again, that's all I can say. Someone's just said, what rudiments would you use to develop your left hand? Yeah, so do you know what? In all honesty, the way that I found that we develop things is got to be, is it multifaceted? Is that even a word? But we've got to hit it from multiple angles. Now, let me explain that a little bit more. So if someone wants to get good at playing a double stroke roll, they could probably spend a year just doing exercises that involve playing literally mummy, daddy, right? If you did that every day for an hour, maybe at the end of the year you'll get good at it, right? But I found that by a far better way of doing that is by cross kind of breeding all the other things that are a little bit similar to that, and they all seem to work different muscle groups and things that relate. So say you were doing doubles, I get you to practice threes as well. Even though you're not playing threes, the muscle groups that do that seem to also get you better at playing doubles. I'd get you to do paradiddles as well. Even though you're not just playing double stroke roll, there's something about the muscles that are used. So with learning to develop a weekend, I would say you need to cover, say you're going to just study rudiments for 3 months. Study all the rudiments, don't just get stuck with one. And what you'll start to find is that one rudiment will suddenly start to have a little bit of a relationship to another rudiment. So you'll kind of learn this one a bit quicker than that one. Think of it like this. Think of it as in your street, you know what your street looks like. Well, imagine you go to another street and you're like, well, this looks a bit like my street. And it's the same sort of thing with rudiments. So you'll start to learn one rudiment, you'll be like, oh, that's a little bit like an inverted paradiddle, and that's how you remember it. Then you've done that one, then you learn another one. And so I think the best way to get a weak hand is, well, 2 ways really. One, you learn rudiments, that's definitely going to help it. 2, you play left-handed. I played in a disco band for about 2 years, right? And it was a fun band to play in, right? If you ever play in a disco band, disco's long gone now, isn't it? But it was good fun. But you're playing this all night. Or maybe... Right, so I got really bored quite easily. So I just started playing things left-handed. If I was just playing... I'd think, well, I'm going to do this. First gig, you're bricking it that you're going to speed up and slow down, but I gig number 10, your left hand gets a bit better. So maybe use that to work it. It's a long answer to your question, but hopefully that answers it. Have we got any other questions? Anything else come in? I'm just flicking through now. I can't see everyone's names today. My eyesight's being blocked by the lights. I think it says Sahil, maybe. Loving it, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Okay, so someone asked something earlier about my hi-hats. I think Jason said the hi-hats sound good tonight. Yeah, so I'm going to bring up these hi-hats because there's a bit of a story behind these. So my cymbals at the moment, because of lockdown, I'm in a, you know the music at the start of these lessons? Well, it's my band Dead Agents, all right? So go check them out on Spotify. Maybe you like that kind of thing, right? But we've got our own studio. Now, all of my stuff from the studio, all of my sort of proper gigging cymbals are in that studio, and they've been there for 4 months. And it's the studio's is at somebody's house. It's a separate building, but because of that, I didn't want to go to their house and with all the virus and that kind of thing. And so I've been using just my home cymbals, I call them, my practice cymbals. And I wanted to have this set with 2 hi-hats. So this is a set. This is a master sound top, and I think a Z on the bottom. And it's alright. It's not a terrible sound. But I needed, by using that, I then needed something over here. So what I've actually got here, this is a 16-inch crash that's been cut down to 15-inch because it had a big crack in it. And as you can possibly see from that above camera, it's got another crack in it again here. And underneath is an actual 15-inch A, which has got a crack in it. So both of these cymbals have got massive cracks in them. And yet there's something nice about them in there. They kind of... they're softer than normal cymbals, I guess, is the best way I can describe it. But it's a rocky sound. They sound nice when they're slightly open. And they kind of work with opens. but for a set of cymbals, they're pretty good, aren't they? I got who did I get him cut down by? Benjamin. I've forgotten his surname now, but there's a guy in England that cuts down cymbals. He cut it down. He did a great job, and then I went and snapped it again. Nasty. Right, I got another question. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, so Jason Dortz just said he remembered doubling everything up he did on his left hand. Well, his left-handed work. Yeah, so I start things left-handed. One of the things that I have seen a lot of is if you check out a lot of the gospel drummers, and not just gospel drummers, big name drummers, right? A lot of big name drummers. And if you're into YouTube, people like Luke Holland. If you're into your sort of prog stuff, then I'm trying to think of names now. They've gone blank. But a lot of the drummers who are held in very high esteem play things that we mortals can't understand. And very often when you break it down, which I often have to do for lessons, someone will bring me a Luke Holland track and say, can you teach me this? And I go in slow motion. It's like, oh, well, it's easy, but it's just left-handed. So a lot of the time when you play things and you learn it right-handed, when you see someone else do it, it's like, yeah, I know that. But when they do it left-handed, it just sounds completely different. So try starting fills left-handed. That certainly helps. I think Mark said that he's been practicing doing 3s and 4s. I think I just read on there, and that's helped him a lot. So yeah, definitely start to work that stuff. I mean, I find that 3s is like the key to all rudiments if you're trying to play stuff fast. So if you're using flams and things like that, if you can play this quick, 3s, and with same with your left hand, now not in a sort of uncontrolled sort of drop way, I mean like play some, that really does open up massive things for you on kit. Another way of practicing those is think of those 3 notes as 3 separate notes and do the accents on different ones. So you might have the accent on the first note, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. The second one's horrible, but try that, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. And the third one's a bit easier. That might help you. That might help. Anybody in the feed as well, I'm sure that's a great place checking this out. If you're watching this and you're like, I've got some cool ideas, type it in, man. This is all about us creating a little bit of a drumming community and it's helping each other out. Okay, have we got any other questions? Yeah, good question. Okay, so yeah, Ian McMillan, how you doing, man? Hope you're well up there in Scotland. So it just said syncopated diddles. So these kind of things are quite hard to line up with the hi-hats when you're playing on a real loose pedal. And Sil said, what's my opinion on pedals? So I'm going to steal this directly from, I've just gone blank his name, Jojo Mayer. So Jojo Mayer's got a DVD on bass drum. Now he's got this hands DVD, like Secrets to Hands or something like that. I can't think of the name. It's someone type it in, tell me what it is. And it's every hand technique, awesome, great video. And then he brought the same out for bass drum, and I was like, I'm buying that definitely. And it was a bit like, oh, he didn't really give me anything that I hadn't really heard apart from this thing. Right, this was genius. So Ian, this might help you a lot, and I'm sure other guys are just going to help you as well. When you think about what's going on with the bass drum pedal, let's go in close so you can see. When you see what's going on with the bass drum pedal, tension here obviously can be real tight or real loose. If you flick a pedal at whatever tension you've got, whatever speed it moves at, that's, let's call it the fundamental speed, right? I don't know if that's the right word to use, but basically that's the speed that it wants to move at that tension. So if most of the time I'm playing things that go dud, 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 this pedal's perfectly suited for that. If it goes flop, 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 flop real slow, it's going to be better when I'm playing boom, boom, boom. If it's real tight, it's going to be better for quick, did it fast stuff. Now as drummers, we might have to play a bit of everything. But what I started to find was when I started to think of the pedal a bit more like that, if you just hit the pedal now, and if you do that with your pedal, wherever you're sat on now, anybody watching this, and you try and play 8th notes at the same speed as that, I'll try and do it now. So there's a camera up there. You see my hands moving? If you can see my bass drum pedal there. And let's see if I can make it a bit bigger. I like these lessons when they're like this. Okay, there's my foot, all right? So if I flick that pedal, so do you hear those first 3 beats? So dum, dum, dum. So the natural speed for my bass drum pedal is to go is, so that speed is easy. So one thing to think about with tension, the only thing I've really found that's kind of helped me decide on my tension is what am I playing the most of? So if I'm used to playing stuff like, it's a different feeling to if I'm having to go dum 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 dum. So I might adjust my pedal in that way, right? Now, not for gig per gig, like for everything. That's one thing. The other thing that I found a lot, which really helped me, was the way I approached the pedal. If you think about, I know you've got awesome hands, so I know you'll understand this from a hands perspective. If you think about when you're hitting a drum and the rebound of the stick, we're trying to get that same thing going on with the bass drum, but we don't have the ability to do that because that spring's getting in the way. So any of you guys who are quite comfortable with your hands, who are quite comfortable doing like this, speeding up, but are not so comfortable with your foot, if you just take off the spring, so that's not got any spring line, right? So when I press this pedal, if you watch, if I put it back on my foot, so it's against my foot, if I press it, it hits the head and it dies. Now if I want to be good at playing bass drum, I've got to be able to do this, constant rebound, with my foot. Now it's hard, I'm going to make this look easy now, but when you get on the kit, if you try doing this, I say I'm making it look easy, I don't know if I haven't done this in a while, but what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and play that bass drum constantly. Oh, I got 3 out, right? 4 out. So you can already see my technique is flawed in a little bit of a way, that I'm actually giving a bit of the energy to the bass drum, so I can't keep that going. Now to keep it going, you have to kind of be quite light on the pedal, and that's something that changed my bass drum playing a little bit. I'm gonna start doing that again now because I used to be a lot better than that, and so that might be something to mess around with. I know it's not exactly answering your question here, but I think this might be a good one. So this was a great take from that video, so let's try again. Nearly got it. Now to get it going again, all I do is I put my foot on the pedal and flick it back down. There we go. Nearly. So I'm losing it a bit. What gets it for me is if I whack it, I can keep it going. Now I don't necessarily want to whack it, but if what you start to do then is you start to, I find, just think about your pedal a little bit more like your hands. And when the two are similar, it's easier to figure stuff out then, and you can start to feel like, hold on, this is too loose, this is too tight. I always get people complaining that my pedals are too loose for them, so maybe that's bad for me, maybe that helps you out a little bit. So have a go doing that. Take the spring off. You have to hit it to get it to literally do constant rebounds. So this pedal rebounds nicely at that pace, right? If I speed up, it stops. So in other words, the way I've got that beater set up at the moment is because it's a heavy beater, it's only really designed for slow. I've lost it. Now eventually you'll get to a point where you're a bit like bouncing a basketball. You'll eventually, when it's losing, you'll be able to bring it back up again. Have a go at that. Yeah, so for me, I have loose tension. I know it was a long-winded answer, but I wanted to give that information out. I've got quite a loose tension on there, but it's been dictated by me sitting and playing around with that little flick of the bass drum pedal. Hopefully that helped you. Cool. The insert makes a bit of sense. Wicked. Right, so I'm going to wrap up here unless anyone's got any burning questions. So as I said, these are going to have to start coming to an end now. I might just do odd ones every now and then. If anybody wants to do some Skype lessons, get in contact because I've got spaces to do that now. I would like to do this as a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing, or have a website where people subscribe and they can see it that way. I've just got to figure out whether one, there's any demand for that, and two, what the costs are. I already know that the way I would like to do it, I've researched it, and the website would be like all singing, all dancing for you guys to be able to see, but it's got quite a high cost, so I'd have to get like 10, 20 people signed up straight away to be able to keep that running. So if it's something that you're interested in, send me a little private message or put a message on here, put a thumbs up. If it's something that you definitely wouldn't do because you like, well, I'm skint because of the COVID, or I like watching your free lessons but I ain't paying, just tell me, man. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to set something up thinking that that 10,000 people are going to sign up without having any chance of it happening. So, okay, cool. Right, I enjoyed that. So hopefully you got some out of that. As I said before, if you're interested, go and check me out on Geoff Fry Drummer. Come follow me on Facebook. Say hi. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys again on another lesson soon.